Will President Trump declare a national emergency to build his border wall? Is the Green New Deal ready for prime time? Will the Virginia Democrats survive their political scandals? And find out who the media missed in its most underrated stories of the week. I'm Nan Khan, and this is The Square Circle. Hello, and welcome to the 100th episode of The Square Circle. I'm your host, Nan Khan. Joining us today are political reporter James Rosen, conservative commentator Madeleine Spjut, and Kayla Stetzel of Young Voices. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
President Trump announced today that he will sign the budget deal passed by Congress, but also declare a national emergency in order to secure funds to build the wall along the southern border. James, is it appropriate for the president to invoke an emergency to fund the wall?
Well, if you look at the history of national emergency declarations, I think the number is 28 in recent decades, and most of them have been passed by presidents to control leaders or other people in countries from Sudan to Burundi from moving assets out of the country, moving money that they don't want to be moved. So it's been very narrow issues, a little bit hard to understand why it's been national emergencies.
In this case, what's your thought? Is that appropriate?
And Congress in 1976 passed a law to limit or check presidents' abilities to declare national emergencies. However, on much bigger issues, after 9/11, there was President Bush declared a national emergency, and there have been a couple other major issues. The invasion of Iraq, there was a national emergency declared. So would it be appropriate? I think that the number of illegal entries is down in recent years. President Obama doubled the number of deportations during his 8 years as president over President George W. Bush's number of deportations. I think it's hard to I think it's a problem, but I think it's hard to argue this is an emergency.
I would like to remind our viewers at home that you can submit your questions to our guests through our website, publicsquare.net, or via Facebook or Twitter. And we'll answer as many as we can live on air towards the end of the show. Also, this week, Democrats unveiled their Green New Deal, which got mixed reactions from both parties. Here's Voice of America's coverage. Oh, did you guys want to chime in on the wall before we move on?
Oh, yeah. So, with the wall issue, almost every national emergency has been related to counterterrorism, for the most part, or some sort of national pandemic. It's really difficult for me to think this is remotely constitutional. I think there's going to be a lot of pushback from all sides. I don't really think it's even an issue. Really, I feel like it's all been trumped up in the media, both by President Trump and just by a lot of his base party supporters. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Madeleine?
I'd like to respectfully push back just a little bit from a conservative perspective. I think that President Trump is within his rights to call it a national security. We'll see how that, or national emergency. We'll see how that plays out. A lot of illegal drugs, a lot of black tar heroin are coming out. It's up to 90% are from illegal border crossing. I do think that, something needs to happen, and we'll see how it goes. It's been an interesting week.
I have to correct you. Not even close to 90%. No, it's not even close. Most of the stuff, the bad stuff that happens is people overstaying their visas and it's not so it comes in. It actually comes in through ports of entry. It comes into Miami. Lot comes into Miami. It comes into other major cities. It's a small percentage that comes over the border. Our border agents are actually pretty good at what they do.
Well, that I can agree on. I think they're doing a great job, and I'd like to see more of that. So.
Okay.
And much of the border is impassable. I mean, this issue's been around for decades. We kind of know which parts of the border. Now they did dig tunnels in.
Is the wall going to work?
One or two places they tried to dig tunnels, but this is not an emergency. You can argue maybe it's a problem, but it's not an emergency. Is the wall going to work? The wall won't be built, but if it was built, if you build like a Berlin type wall, but the huge drug organizations run by
But by no means
cartel
a
and so
need for state of emergency.
they'll find a way. They'll find a way to get under it or over it, so it won't completely stop. But it's not necessary.
I think not only are the ends of this national emergency not sound, I think the wall in and of itself is a stupid idea, but the means by which he's trying to achieve the wall, I feel are unconstitutional. He's trying to really get around Congress, which I think is just kind of an unjust and unacceptable way about pushing such a massive issue to the government.
The Constitution clearly says, early in the Constitution, it clearly says, could not be clearer that the House, that Congress appropriates money. And so the only way that the president can get money to build the wall is to go to this Congress. But it, following up on the comment about constitutionality, that's the only way he could take money or find money that has not been appropriated by Congress. And I think there's a lot of conservative Republicans who would be against that because it would set a precedent that a liberal president could do the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely see where they're coming from. It is, as it's been mentioned, a lot of the national emergencies have been a little bit more specific, and this is a little more vague. So I think that it kind of remains what the president's plans are for that. So we'll see how it shapes out.
I will also note that this could very well spur a second shutdown. There's already been kind of rumblings about that.
And you got to believe that President Trump is threatening this is partially the result of Ann Coulter, Rush Limbaugh, and other leading conservative commentators really mocking him for
Moving on, also this week, congressional Democrats unveiled their Green New Deal, which got mixed reactions from both parties. Here's Voice of America.
The program aims to overhaul the entire energy system in 10 years with a massive expansion of renewable energy sources, efficiency programs, and zero-emission vehicles. It would reduce emissions from agriculture and grow carbon-absorbing forests. But the proposal does not say how.
While the resolution does not mention any specific technology, it talks about any technology that can dramatically reduce greenhouse gases.
The proposal also does not specify how to pay for the programs.
Kayla, is this Green New Deal a plan that could work?
To put it very simply, no, it is not. To be clear, though, I do think climate change is a very important issue, but the Green New Deal simply, first, it's way too vague. Second of all, it's a bundle of hodgepodge type things, really. This is really just a overzealous climate change bill mixed with a infrastructure bill and kind of a jobs bill as well. It does too much without specifying how or why, and it's really not useful.
So it's just too broad for you if it were to be modified.
Okay, to be honest, in addition to being a little bit too broad, I would also say it does too much with respect to government intervention. Right? I think what's really interesting is I think one of the points of the bill and the text today is I think it says that all buildings should be prepared to have the highest energy or most energy efficient buildings. What does that even really mean? How would that be feasible? Even with zoning laws, is that even possible? I mean, to give you some examples, everybody kind of drives, right? I own a car. I'm from Indiana. It took maybe 6 years for them to fix up a small that the government is somehow going to fix all of these nebulous buildings and create some sort of perfect climate energy efficient plan just seems highly unfeasible in just that manner. But this bill is littered with a lot of just unfeasible pipe dream ideas, which maybe in theory there's some good intentions there, yes, but it's just not planned out or appropriated in a way that makes
I think that's so right. I think that this is kind of a soft bill. There's some good intentions in there, but I think we've all kind of seen the news clippings of, different Democrats supporting kind of the idea of it, even the bill itself, Republicans highlighting, one of the more notorious clauses is supporting those that are for support. It just doesn't, it just seems really rushed and I just think it's going
Over time or never will work.
in a different form, potentially. I think climate change is something that, both sides can acknowledge, but it certainly is important. I think that smarter legislation is but this is
I think it's aspirational. I don't think it's. I think it's marking out, desires for what policy should be going forward, and it follows with this wave of progressive news of folks getting elected, most of them getting elected to the House. But I will say, I'm a bit of a history buff. When President Roosevelt, FDR, first proposed Social Security in the 1930s, early 1930s, there were even more extreme criticizing communism as impossible and so forth. So a lot of times when these sweeping new policies come out, they're criticized as being impossible. And now, of course, Social Security is saying nobody, we can't stand Congress and come out against Social Security. So I think it's aspirational. I think some of the elements of the proposal are more realistic than others. But I think over time, I think there's a chance that 50 years from now, most of these policies will be in place, and people will look back and say, well, yeah, how did they ever?
So for now, is it just bringing more attention to the issue?
I will say that is one positive thing to come out of this bill. It does, climate change, I think, can always be a very critical point in our political dialogue. And it never really has been, and now it's kind of somewhat front and center. I know this media cycle has been perpetually crazy since 2016, but we're definitely hearing more about climate change, and I think it's very key. So that is the one silver lining. Even though the bill, in my opinion, is not feasible at all, there's no way to get a net zero carbon emissions and do any of that. In my opinion. Doesn't seem very likely. Seems more along the lines of possible. But it is kind of shifting our dialogue and focusing on just how dangerous climate change can be. It's very
it almost seems like not even respecting the full gravity of climate change because the bill is just so ridiculous, So is it actually helping, the movement? I kind of think because this was so sloppy, I think that it really kind of hurt. But it does seem like but I don't know how effective.
Well, when Obamacare was passed in 2009, conservatives confidently predicted that we would round one. Number two, it would have to be a very forceful election for them. I think so. It's very hard to know. It's very hard to know about this. And I think, is it a cohesive bill? It's not a cohesive bill yet, right? It's just a group of proposals. And I call her AOC because I respond to her name. She's shown that she's a genius since the age of 29 at getting attention to herself first and then to issues. And I think this is another example. She's not the only person behind this. It's another example of how she's putting a spotlight on.
So what would it take to get something off the ground? Scaling it back, narrowing it down, one element of climate
almost 3 different bills happening within that proposal. We've got the jobs bill, the deals
So
with
it's
wages.
messy.
It's very messy. It does way too much, and it's way too vague. So focusing it on one issue, maybe just private schools alone, maybe just infrastructure alone, and really narrowing it down, putting some teeth in it, putting actual dates, specifics as to exactly what we're going to do now, statistics, that would, I think, certainly smooth things along.
Important topic that needs to be worked on.
Sure, yeah, I think so. I agree with you. I think I'd also like to add that, yeah, how are we going to pay for it? I think that's a big question that everybody has. So, I think that's another way that you can move something along. More information from the get-go. Certainly that's
I said with it's a starting point on the issue. If even one piece of it it's a little bit, in an odd way, it's a little bit like President Trump and his negotiating style and the wall, right, where he starts with a very high figure and then he ends up last, but he's going to and maybe that's a little bit.
And finally, the scandals that have dogged Virginia's top 3 officials seem to have abated somewhat. Here's Fox News.
Thanks for forgiveness, and I believe that we need to give the governor a second chance.
Virginia Governor Ralph Northam receiving some encouragement from a group of African-American clergy and local leaders who say Northam's a different man today than 30 years ago when he wore blackface. Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax is also refusing to step down after being accused by 2 women of sexual assault.
I do want to reiterate that Justin Fairfax should resign.
This morning, Delegate Patrick Hope announced he's holding off on impeachment proceedings to remove Fairfax from office, while lawmakers explore other options for investigating the claims against him.
I definitely think he does. We have 2, very credible claims of sexual assault, rape against Lieutenant Governor Fairfax. Cut and dry. He's the Lieutenant Governor of our great state, and these allegations against him are appalling.
It's complicated. I mean, I think as the hearings over Justice Kavanaugh saw, you have claims and the Republicans are accusing the Democrats of hypocrisy and that. You can have claims, old claims from women that appear to be extremely credible, and then they kind of break down a little bit, especially and I'm not familiar with how much. I think there's less time involving Fairfax. I could be wrong. That makes a difference. But I still think that people are innocent until proven guilty in this country, and no matter what the charge. And I'd like to see more evidence of such claims.
As far as the governor's concerned, I'm actually more upset by what he did. I think it was only 1984, and the image in particular of the KKK wizard, that really bothered me. I'm from Detroit. I went through the race riots in 1967 when most of my downtown burned down, and that really bothered me. And I think his explanations and his rationalizations have just not come together.
But he's a doctor and he can heal this. He's the person to fix everything. Is he not?
I don't know. So far, his efforts haven't persuaded me. And I think the Democrats are being political now. I think that until the sexual assault allegations came up against the two deputies, and it looked like the Democrats could replace him, they were all calling for him to resign. But then when it looked like all 3 might go and you might have a Republican replace him, all of a sudden things changed. And I don't have a lot of respect for that. But it's very political.
also say his defense of, I don't really remember taking that photo. It was so long ago. Well, that was in med school, and if you're a doctor,
Right.
you have a very bad memory of what you did or learned in med school. That might be a bit of an issue, right? Not to focus on a very serious issue, but his excuses just didn't sit well with me, or I feel anyone for this photo. But yes, I mean, I do think they both should resign, but I do think we should probably give some time to really suss out these accusations and give both the lieutenant governor and the victims a better chance of uncovering what really went down. I actually believe the victims, but I think there's processes in place where we can actually figure out what went down, the gravity of them. But politically, yes, I think those should resign. Don't know when, I don't know what that would look like, right? But neither, I think, are in a good political position or a very high moral.
What do you think this would look like if all three incorporated?
I think it would
What
be
would this whole situation look
it
like
would,
now?
I mean, you know, I think it would be a lot messier. I think a lot of Democrats have stepped up. Senator Booker has called their resignation. But I think it would be all of them. I think that, you know, it has gotten some good coverage, but I think, you know, just look at what happened with Judge Kavanaugh and look at those hearings. I think, you know, it's definitely disproportionate. Yeah, and then I also kind of want to dovetail off of what about with the governor. You know, he was talking about, you know, taking ownership of it, but like not doing it well and being sloppy with it. And then, you know, saying like, oh, I'm a doctor, I can heal the situation. And he's doing this apology tour and this listening tour, but he called slaves indentured servants, so there's like a clear lack of misunderstanding. So is this really, you know, the proper thing? So I don't know. The media coverage with this is a little spotty. It's kind of all over the place, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Do you think we should hear more from the Republicans to get them out of office, or are they being too quiet about this?
Well, the sexual assault claims I think, are very different from the issues around the governor. And as I've said, I think what the governor did. Again, I don't want to downplay sexual assault, but it depends. Was it rape? Depends what happened, the circumstances. But I think what the governor did. I mean, the idea that you would appear, whether he was the Grand Wizard or he was the guy next to the Grand Wizard. You know, the idea, given the issue of the KKK, that was so well known by 1954 as a medical student. Not he wasn't an 18-year-old, he wasn't a 19-year-old. You know, maybe you could understand. You know, intelligent and an older adult. It's unfathomable, and it's also unfathomable that he wouldn't remember, that he would change his story. You know. It's just the whole thing, and then his comments about Michael Jackson and dressing up in black. There's almost nothing he has said that is incredible to me.
End of the road for him?
I feel like there's nothing from the game for sticking around personally. But
The one-term governor, you know, and he's hanging on. I don't know what it means for him afterwards, but I think he's hurting his partners right now.
Do you think we'll see an adult face and a possible?
Well, I think if his
Gotta interrupt you,
if one or more of his deputies hang on, he's going to go. It's very clear.
We're going to move on to our next segment. It's now time for the most underreported story of the week. Who would like to start? Oh, pardon me. It is time for questions from the audience. We have a question coming from Sammy Weaver, who wants to know, will Trump face a backlash from his conservative base for signing this budget? Do you want to address that one?
Yes, I think he will. You know, it's quite a bit lower. He was elected under the guise of being a deal maker. He's been being a good track record for it. So I think there could be some backlash. But you know, at the end of the day, we got to check on. We got to
So will there be less backlash if he does enact the state of emergency to try to get that? Or is that why?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I think there's going to be backlash regardless as to what happens, both from his own base, especially, I would argue, you might see a lot of conservative backlash if he declares a national emergency because it's such a broad overreach of the executive office. So I feel like no matter how you slice it, there's going to be some backlash from the Republican Party.
And also, if he takes money, for instance, he's talking about taking money from military construction projects. That's not something that's going to go over well with at least part of his base.
We're going to move on to our final segment of the show. It's time for the most underreported story of the week. Who would like to start with your story that we didn't hear enough about?
Well, I'm going to start because I think I just got this amazing story, and it's a great story for Valentine's Day, which is that there's an 82-year-old woman named Martha Everett who lives in Indiana, and she lost her purse, black purse. She lost her purse when she was in high school. And she was a junior in high school in 1954 in Jeffersonville, Indiana, and her purse was recently found. And it was found because I believe they were tearing down the high school that she attended, and it was returned to her. She was located on Facebook, and here are a few items that it had in it. It had a very polite handwritten letter inviting her to the prom. It had her wallet, it had lipstick, and it had a bunch of juicy fruit.
So, definitely more morbid bit of news from me, not quite as lighthearted as Valentine's Day, but Reuters recently released a report, a little bit of a news coverage story on the increase in taser-related deaths that we've experienced in 2018. There's, I believe, either 48 or 49 people who died from taser use.
From law enforcement, or?
Yeah, from law enforcement. And if you look into taser use and death-related tasers, you can kind of start to see a picture of it. But yes, Reuters reported that they're kind of looking into that as a law enforcement issue. And also just if there's a better method, or if they're going to switch taser technologies. It was just kind of an interesting story. One, it's very unfortunate, I think, people should look into that.
So are they trying to propose the non-use of tasers
I
altogether,
mean,
or
it was
some other?
more of just a news coverage story of this is happening, it's becoming more of a problem. It didn't really point as to why. Is it something that's happening with everyday days? Is it because of the technology? Is it because people have cell phones on them? We don't really know why this is happening. It's happening more often. People are starting to look into it. But it is an unfortunate reality that people are actually dying.
And originally,
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine if we don't have other technology. Stop. Mobile people.
And you?
Mine's also pretty sad. But and it's gotten covered, but I just think it needs to be covered. I thought, we're looking at the anniversary of the Parkland high school shootings, and I know the White House released a statement on it, and it's coverage, but I think it's definitely remember what matters and it's protecting our children and our communities. So, yeah, I just want to give that a little extra love and attention. It's just
One whole year ago.
All right.
I think that's all that we have time for this week. I'm Mankind, and thank